one and all. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. He struck him out. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is one back. Welcome on, Chris Taylor.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Anthony Witrado here in the Positive Vibes Only Club as the Dodgers win their 5th game in a row, beating the Brewers 7-2. Anthony, happy Tuesday night to you. We got to speak this morning about some bad news with River Ryan. We get to speak tonight about literally good news all around. Gavin Stone looks good. Gavin Lux hits another home run. Landon Knack saves the bullpen. I mean, there's just about nothing negative that we could say about this game. So I'm looking forward to a fun show tonight.
Yeah, they looked great. Vibes are good. Mookie coming back just helps that. Nice little 4-inning save there for our guy Landon Knack. That was fun to watch. Saved the rest of the bullpen, which is very important. And they secure at least a series tie against the Brewers. So all good tonight.
Yes, and we're going to get into all of it. We're going to get into the fact that they're tied for the best record in the standings. We're going to into Gavin Stone's night. We'll get into Gavin Lux's night. As I mentioned, we're going to talk Walker Buehler, set to start tomorrow night as well. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate everyone who joins us on here, as always, live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. We appreciate you. And shout out to my guy, Zach, by the way, hooking me up with the Ohtani hat. Normally hat giveaways, Anthony, I'll be honest, I kind of steer clear of because they're typically not the finest quality in the history of the world. Sure. I have to say the Ohtani giveaway, I saw Daniel rocking it on our show. And this has got to be the best hat they've ever given away. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but the quality is good. I can tell you that.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't seen it in person. Anytime they do a hat giveaway, it just reminds me of Jerry Seinfeld calling into Yankee Stadium with the bomb threat and demanding that everybody get fitted hats when they walk into the stadium.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Yeah. Jeff and Daniel need to wear matching hats. We'll see. We'll see about that. I mean, look, the way things are headed, why not? If it's working. So let's start. I mean, where do you want to start? Is it Gavin Stone? Is it the offense scoring 7 runs? Like, what to you is the biggest storyline from tonight? I'll let you kind of take this where you want to.
Yeah. Gavin Stone's a big storyline. But I feel like based on what we've seen the last 2 days, the sort of the trend here that we're seeing is this lineup got a lot deeper with Mookie Betts back in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. You look at the box score tonight, obviously 7 runs, 13 hits. All 9 starters got hits in this game. No walks. Fascinating number for the Dodgers. I mean, you don't need any walks when you're hitting it like they are. Swing away. 13 hits again for the Dodgers. 4 home runs. Will Smith starts it off. Shohei Ohtani, Gavin Lux, Andy Pages all hit home runs. But to your point, I mean, you look up and down this lineup, and all of a sudden, the way that it's shaking out, Will Smith is batting 6th, Rojas 7th, Kike 8th, and Pages 9. And that's a really deep group at the bottom. Let's start with Smith. They mentioned this. He had 3 hits total in his last 8 games. He goes 3 for 4 tonight, gets things started with the home run in the 2nd inning. Everyone knows how I feel about Will Smith.
Yeah.
I always feel like when he goes through slumps, there's just about like Mookie, Ohtani, like Freddie Freeman. He's in that category from the perspective of, I just assume these slumps will end eventually. Like I don't say like, oh my gosh, these are bad habits that are going to develop and linger. He just feels like a guy that always seems to snap out of things. Tonight, he gets the home run, a bloop single, rips a double down the line. Did this feel like the sort of slump busting night for a guy like Will Smith, or is it possible that this is just going to be a blip on the radar?
Yeah, I think the swings looked a little different. He was getting the barrel to drop into the zone. That home run that he hit, I think, that thing could have went off the wall for a double, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the pitch location, the pitch type, and the way he stayed in and was able to not hook that thing and still be able to drop the head of the bat on it.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a guy who is starting to feel better.
Yeah.
That could have easily been a foul off or, a broken bat or, kind of a weak pop-up based on where the location was of that pitch. But he was able to stay inside it, got the head around. That's the kind of swing. That's the kind of hand path that's what it looks like when a guy is going fine.
Yeah.
And fine for a guy like Will Smith, Mookie Betts, those types of guys, when they're fine, they're all-star caliber players. And, that's a good sign. We'll have to wait and see, obviously, but it wasn't like he just kind of fluke ran into one and somebody hung a curveball or something like that. He went and got that home run. And I think that was sort of, for me, what the best sign of that was.
How about this? I'm looking at exit velocities. The Dodgers were responsible for 14 of the 17 hardest hit balls tonight. 14 of 17 came off of Dodgers bats, and it was everyone. Ohtani, 109 point. The ironic part, by the way, Contreras' home run, the hardest hit ball of the night. But after that, you've got Ohtani's home run. You've got Pages, who hit a ball 108 miles an hour that resulted in an error. Smith homer, Pages homer, Lux homer. So the guys that are doing it, then you've got Ohtani, Teoscar, Lux again, Smith, Freeman, Betts, Lux, Kike. So, with Will Smith in particular, we're talking about 3 balls hit 99 miles an hour or harder from him tonight. Impressive stuff all around. And those are, again, these are not, he had the blooper, right? But the other 3 being 99 or harder is kind of exactly what you want to see as far as a slump busting type of a deal, because that's not fluky. Like when Will Smith, to your point, is pulling in the hands and connecting the way that he is, that feels like the biggest sort of, check mark, if you will, that I'm waiting to see.
Yeah, and like I said, it wasn't so much about the result. It was about how he got there. He could have hit that ball 109 miles an hour, into Adamas's glove or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think what you saw before you saw the result is what was encouraging.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to you for crediting Gavin Lux's trip home as possibly an instigator to kind of his resurgence here. And we're going to talk Lux in a little bit, but here he goes back home again, gets a home run.
Yeah. I got some reporter chops still left in me, even though I'm not on the beat full time. Every once in a while I can pull one out, but yeah, it was something that I knew, something I had been told. And, it's a story now that he's gotten hot with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, on Dodger Heads, we were breaking news
there. I love to see it. And Gavin Lux, let's talk Gavin Lux, because he's a guy that I've got some thoughts on. We know the numbers. Fabian Ardaya was tweeting out that he had raised his OPS on the season like 120 points over the last, since the All-Star break. I tweeted out that the OPS is just about 1,100 over that stretch with like a 200 weighted runs created plus. And I need a tiny bit of space here, because I joked on Twitter that tonight was the night I'm going to cash in all my Gavin Lux chips. I got crushed by a number of people for refusing to give up on him, for continuously saying, hey, they got to be patient with him. Give him time. And to me, and I've got some some numbers that I've written down, but yeah, I'm not sitting here saying like 195 weighted runs created plus and an OPS of 1,100 is sustainable. But my point on Gavin Lux is I always believed that this was in him. And so my question to you, and then I'll answer the same question, is, as we see Gavin Lux hit another home run tonight, I mentioned the exit velocity on that thing. His home run went just as far as Ohtani's, 105 miles an hour off the bat, 413 feet. What's in your mind sustainable? Like, which Gavin Lux, the one we're seeing now or the one that we saw at the beginning, if you had to choose, is closer to the Gavin Lux that you think we might see moving forward? And again, I'm not saying he's going to be 190, but like, do you think it's more likely that he's a really good offensive player, or more likely that he's one of the worst offensive players in baseball?
Those are
the two categories. Those are the two versions we've seen of him, right?
Yeah. And, we probably had 3 shows in a row or something like that where we got crushed for like, saying, no, let's maybe not trade for Adames and kind of let's see where this plays out. And, I'd be lying if I said like there was a time a month ago or so where it was just like, okay, this might be over. And then we heard about the Wisconsin story going back home during the break. Not that we knew that was going to break him out, but we could see some different signs of life there.
Yeah.
And we're among the last people probably to hold Lux stock. If you say what he was doing when everybody was saying that he should not be on the team or be traded or be benched or sent, whatever, if that's a 1 and what we're seeing now is a 10, I think the reason why he was an untouchable in trades when he was a prospect, and the reason why he was that prospect and because of what he did in the minors, the Dodgers, I think, they saw him as sort of a middle of the order type of bat.
Yeah.
I would say between that 1 and 10, he's probably like, I think looking at him and seeing a 7 is pretty reasonable. And if he were to stay like at second base, let's say, he's an all-star caliber second baseman, like a multiple time all-star second baseman. I think that's his ceiling. And I think that 7 is realistic. Like you said, this isn't sustainable. What we were seeing early on was not the guy that we had seen ever before. Like, sure, he had not been super great or anything like that, or maybe lived up to the number one prospect type of expectations, but we knew he was better than that. We had seen that.
Right.
And I think what we tended to forget was that the guy hadn't played baseball in like, however long it was, like almost 2 years or something like that, something stupid, right?
Yeah.
And then we're asking him to come get back in there, do it at the big league level, and do it really well.
Yeah.
Like that was the expectation for him coming into this season. And from all of us, like I'm not saying any of the other fans had, wrong expectations or something. Like we had it too. Like we, Mookie at short, this can work because Gavin Lux, if he can play a little defense there and then he hits like Gavin Lux that we expect, then yes, this is all going to be fine. Like that was what we were talking about in March and April, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that it's somewhere around there. I think he's going to come back down to earth a bit, but he's found something. He clearly has. Like those kinds of hot streaks don't last this long and this white hot.
Yeah.
So like I said, he'll come back down to earth, but I don't think he goes back to what he was, 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, we got a super chat here from 300 GJW. Lux has been super. I still don't trust him. Here's the backstory. Like, and I kind of don't know if I've ever dove fully into my Gavin Lux position, but here's why I believed in Gavin Lux. Okay, so let's go back all the way to his time in the minor leagues. 2018, he's 20 years old. He puts a 147 weighted runs created plus, which again, if you're new to this stat, 100 is league average. So like anything above like 115 is like borderline elite. Like the Freddie Freemans of the world are close up to like 140, 150 type. So Lux is 147 in high A as a 20-year-old. He makes the jump to double A, which any minor leaguer will tell you is the biggest jump in the entire minor leagues to double A. At 20 years old, well below league average as far as age, he posts 147 in double A as well. 2019, fast forward a year, he jumps up to he jumps up to double A, posts a 147 again in double A, jumps up to triple A as a 21-year-old and posts a 188 weighted runs created plus. Okay. So at 21 years old, he's between double A and triple A posting an OPS of like 155, and he had 26 combined home runs. Okay. So that's like the power is there. He's doing this at a ridiculously young age. He made his major league debut, let's remember, at 21 years old. And posted a 700 OPS with 2 home runs in 23 games, by the way. Holds his own, okay? So that's 2019. He's one of the top prospects in baseball. He's 21 years old. He's made his debut and kind of held his own. 2020 happens, and COVID ruins everything. If you remember the story, it was never officially reported, but basically read between the lines. He most likely got COVID, missed all of the spring training, ramp up, whatever it was called, and that whole season was a disaster. Okay, 2021 gets his first full taste, 90 weighted runs created plus. Not great, not terrible, obviously below average, but it was what it was, up and down. But here's the thing, August 25th, he's kind of up and down in the minor leagues. August 25th, he comes back up. The last 18 games, he goes on a tear. 157 weighted runs created plus to finish that season. He comes back full-time in 2022 and crushes it. For the full season, it's a 114 weighted runs created plus. He hits 276 with an OPS of about 750. And that is like, we had a larger sample size of Gavin Lux being a guy who could hit at double A, at triple A, at the major league level, and doing so at a young age. That's why when he tears his knee in 2023 and has a bad 3-month start to 2024, I'm willing to give him some grace and to say, let's just be patient. So again, I'm not claiming that I saw this coming, Anthony, this level, but I'm just saying like, the track record of what he did at double A and triple A, and then his first taste of the major leagues, even in that 2021 season that was slightly below average, 2022, where he breaks out. Like, to me, that's the track record that I kept looking at to say, be patient, be patient, be patient. Yeah. And I think the Dodgers, to their credit, were patient, and they're reaping the benefits of that now. And so that's why, again, I'm with you. I think what you just said, potential all-star second baseman, I don't think that's crazy. Like, I actually think that's what he has in him now.
Yeah. And you rattled off those numbers in the minors. That's why he was one of their untouchable guys.
Right.
It really is. And remember when he hit that bag in spring training and shredded his knee, the expectations on the step before he did that for everybody in Dodger Blue was that this is going to be the year we see the Gavin Lux we saw in the minors. They all believed that. And I think he believed it too. Like speaking to him during spring, he was very confident. Like he was feeling himself. I think that his because he said that the year he put up that 90 OPS plus, he said that he came up and he was trying to almost not fail. Like he finally got the call. He was finally full time, and it was like he was going up there trying not to like strike out, like just trying to put the ball in play, like those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
The next year was when he said he fully started to trust it and started to let the bat head fly. Comes back from the injury, sort of falls into the same habits, those bad habits.
Yeah.
Works out with his uncle and says, "What's going on?" And they told him straight up, "You're not swinging the bat. Like you look like you might as well turn the bat the other way and hit with the handle. Like that's how it feels like you're swinging the bat, right?" So then he starts to let it fly again. Strikeout rate goes up a little bit, but the total bags go way up, right? And so we're starting to see, I think, a different mentality in Gavin Lux that he had always had before, but that sort of got away from him early on in his big league career, and then he fell back into after the major injury, the major knee surgery. And that's who knows what that does to your mind. And he's even talked about it, right? He's talked about the mental aspect of coming back from that injury and sort of what it did to him. I think the Dodgers might have lucked into this a little bit also, aside from yes, they stuck it out with him. But I do think if something would have came to the surface and there was a deal on the table and he would have been involved, they would have pulled the trigger at some point, I think.
Yeah.
I really do. And I think that he got his value down just low enough that it didn't make sense to trade him. And we said, it doesn't make sense to trade him right now. His value is too low. You're going to get pennies on the dollar for him.
Yeah.
You just hope that he could come back and at least recoup some of that value.
Yeah.
We're talking about a different player now. And we're talking about a different future. If, like I said, that 1 to 10 range, and if he's at a 10 right now, if he can start to live at a 7, boy, this lineup looks very different. And we're talking about Gavin Lux in a whole different light, because if he's a 7, he's a multiple-time All-Star.
And keep in mind, he also benefited from them having so many other holes around the lineup that much attention was on him. It wasn't like they could just key in on him as sort of the root of the problem. It was like, yes, he was bad, but because a couple more.
Because if all things are right and the roster's mostly healthy, he might have ended up on the bench.
Yep, I agree. John with the super chat. Thank you, Uncle Augie Schmidt. Lux is a new man. Again, you can go look at the swing data that Fabian Ardaya highlighted. Clearly something is different, not to mention the mental piece, right? There's the physical piece of just he's swinging harder and the eye test, but there's also the mental of just believing that you're going to be this guy and that you have this in him. So it's a big deal. Not Jeff Spiegel. We appreciate this one. Look at that. Gavin Lux holding my head. I love it. I love it. Is Mookie a right fielder or second base next year? Somebody asked, so Gavin Lux has 2 more years of team control, arbitration year 2 and year 3 over the next 2 years. Another person, Gavin Lux not going back to shortstop. Like, if there's one thing we can cross off your bingo card, it's Gavin Lux playing any position other than second base if he's a Dodger. So to this question, I would say Mookie Betts is not going to be a second baseman next year, unless the Dodgers decide they want to move on from Lux. But given the holes that they have elsewhere on the roster, I just am starting to believe that Mookie Betts back in right field for the next 2 years while Gavin Lux plays second base and you go after a Willy Adames type at shortstop. That to me feels like the most logical thing. Again, we could get into whether or not Mookie actually wants to play the outfield. I should say whether he's okay playing the outfield. But my answer to this would be, I would predict Lux at second, Mookie and right, barring an injury. What do you think, Anthony?
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. I think it's the most logical. If I were to go out on a limb here, I think you get through this season and then they have a sit down with Mookie and they ask him straight up, what do you want to do? And if he tells them he wants to play shortstop, I think they give him another shot, because I think what that entails then is an entire offseason and an entire spring training for him to work at that position, as opposed to like 5 days, which is what he came into, I think, opening day with, or something like that. It might have been a little bit more, but it wasn't much more if it was more than that, right? It was like a week or two, something like that. Like they made that call pretty late before they went to Korea, I think. And I think, considering who he is, what his contract is, the place he has on this team, if he says that, feels like they might owe it to him to at least give it a real shot, as opposed to like just shoving him in because Gavin Lux was really bad there during spring training.
Yeah.
So that's me going out on a limb, like I said, and just sort of like, what if?
Yeah.
I think it makes most sense. It's probably most logical to put him in right field, keep Lux at second base, go find yourself a shortstop.
By the way, Mookie, I mean, he had one play yesterday where it was a ball off the wall that Chorio hit, and he bare hands it, perfectly positioned in rifles, and he holds him to a single. And I'm like, look, the guy still got it out there. I'm not saying he's peak Mookie Betts Gold Glove, but he's definitely not a liability out there.
Yeah, a little maybe longer shot. What if, in my mind, is if you do move Mookie back to second, Lux is not your shortstop. I think for two reasons. One, he's already proven that it's iffy, and he wasn't a great shortstop in the minors anyway. He just the bat played, so then you can kind of play him wherever. But I think that they don't want to mess with that, the mental side of it again.
That's my thing.
Yeah, they don't just
like,
don't
okay, should we try Gavin Lux in left field? It's like, do you really want him thinking again? Like, don't mess with the good thing,
Yeah,
kind of
well, that's my longer shot. What if is that it's not shortstop, it's maybe left field.
Yeah,
and they give him again a longer runway, because when we saw him play center, he's a phenomenal athlete. He's a fantastic athlete.
Totally.
That doesn't mean you know how to catch fly balls or line drives coming at you. Like that's a whole different beast. But again, an entire, like, let's say they tell him like, hey, this is what's going to happen. An entire winter, an entire spring training, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. Like I said, that's my longer shot potential situation. But I think keeping him at second, keeping Mookie in right, it's the most logical. It makes the most sense. It's probably, without having to play 4D chess with the rest of the roster over the winter, it's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. And keep in mind, by the way, a guy I haven't mentioned is Tommy Edman is also under team control next season as well. A guy who could play shortstop or a guy who could play center field, both of which project to be holes in the lineup. I will say the one thing there would be, if Mookie does go to right field, then what do you do with a guy like Andy Pages? But again, I think these are questions for another day, but just something to think about. If Edman's your center fielder and Mookie's your right fielder, and we hope Teoscar Hernandez is the left fielder next season, then there maybe is a logjam. But as we've learned with the Dodgers, there's no such thing as a logjam, because injuries will create holes where there.
And I see some of the comments. We're not talking about this happening like next week or this year. This would be for like 25.
That was the question. Absolutely. Let's switch from Gavin Lux. Let's talk Gavin Stone, another Gavin. I'll be honest, you and I have done a bunch of post games after Gavin Stone starts over the last month and a half. They have not been fun post games to do, because it typically hasn't resulted in Dodger wins, and it definitely hasn't resulted in Gavin Stone positive pitching performances. And yet tonight he was great. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, no walks, 6 strikeouts. This was a guy that over his previous 6 starts had a 6.92 ERA, just 19 strikeouts in 27 innings compared to 7 walks. And then tonight he comes out. It's the most strikeouts he's had since June 26th. It's the fewest hits allowed since May 28th. It's his second best start of the season when you total up base runners allowed. 3. Second best performance of the season. I tried to look like, was it a pitch mix thing? There's no rhyme or reason to starts he's been good or bad, depending on like, is it more fastball or more changeup? I mean, the velocity ticked up a little bit. The changeup was a half mile an hour faster. The fastball was a tick faster. The spin rates were a little bit better, but I didn't see anything like StatCast wise that told me why he was successful tonight. Was there anything just from watching the game that you maybe saw and thought this seemed to be a different version of Gavin Stone?
Yeah. It was hard to pick. It was hard to pinpoint. A couple of things did stand out a little bit, though, was that far fewer meatballs.
Yeah.
Far fewer of those middle type of pitches, which I mean, they flashed a stat on the Dodger broadcast. I didn't even know the game was on TBS until after the game was over.
Yeah, neither
But
did
they flashed a number on the Dodger broadcast that said that, going through, I think that complete game in Chicago, he was giving up .6 home runs
Oh
or
yeah,
something
that
like that.
number's crazy.
And then the starts since then coming into tonight, but it was like 2.6 or something. It was something like that. It was like two more home runs basically per. I think it was per 9. So bad,
So bad.
and that was a result of like him just leaving a bunch of balls in the zone, like in the big part of the zone. I didn't see a whole lot of that today, and that changeup. You said that the pitch mix was fairly along the lines that it has been.
Yeah.
But whatever it was about the changeup tonight, it really did seem to do its job, which was to play off his fastball and to keep guys off balance. And I thought that he did a really good job with that pitch tonight. And I think Oral even made a mention of like when he was missing, he made sure he missed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's probably it. It's just look, because his zone numbers were all the same, but if it's in the zone, but top of the zone, bottom of the zone, inside, outside, rather than middle, I think that, that it does feel like he's made a couple of those home run mistakes. Obviously, he makes one to Contreras. That ball was absolutely demolished. But on the night, 5 innings, just 5 hard hit balls allowed, 86 pitches. And, again, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 3 hits, 1 earned run. Incredible stuff. So much, in the same way with Will Smith, it's a small sample size of positivity after a larger sample size of struggles. I think with Stone, there were lots of reasons to kind of believe the regression from the perspective of, man, he's getting up there in innings. This is a lot of stress. This is a lot of like pressure that he's had to feel as not only being a major leaguer for an extended run, but then all of a sudden he was like the second best pitcher they had. And so feeling the weight of like, I need to step up and preserve the bullpen. So for him
made
to come
it
out and
stand
do
out
this,
a lot more, to your point. It made the struggles, it magnified the struggles because of the position he ended up being in because of where the rest of the rotation was at. You're right.
Totally. And as we're talking about Stone, by the way, we have to give a shout out to Landon Knack, who goes 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 2 strikeouts. So how's that for a stat? 0 walks by either team in the game tonight. But Landon Knack preserves the bullpen, obviously given a healthy lead to protect, but gives them a night off in a game of 13 stretch of 13 games in 13 days for the entire bullpen to have a night off, knowing that Landon Knack is, hey, thanks for coming, but he's probably headed back down to Oklahoma City in the next day or two. Just a massive one for a bullpen that had been taxed, but also with no off days coming anytime soon.
We might look at this seriously. Like, I don't mean to be hyperbolic, but we may look at this game, maybe this series, depending on how the rest of it plays out with Buehler coming back. Like, this might be a sort of benchmark series. But this game in particular, given the stretch that they're in, given that Stone had been bad before, comes in and does that, and then Nat comes in and maybe the day before he goes back down, saves the bullpen.
Yeah.
They're rested. They haven't been great for, I don't know what it is now, 6-7 weeks or whatever. They haven't been great, been middle of the road kind of. And then if this can kind of get them back on track, you might look at that game and go, remember in Milwaukee in the middle of August when they kind of had that sort of like pseudo piggyback start with Stone and Knack and da-da-da. Like, seriously, like there are little points in each season for every team that you look back on and you go like, man, what are the numbers from there on? Like, it's that kind of stuff. And it's possible that this is one of those things because Nat came in and I mean, nails, man. And you got to understand, like, these guys they understand the situations. They know that, he knows his days might be numbered on the big league roster for now. Yeah. And to come in and do what he did tonight, incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, this was day 6 of a 13-day stretch. So halfway through, basically, to give everybody out there an off day. Absolutely huge stuff from Landon Knack. Let's go through a quick game recap, Anthony. We haven't done this in a while, but we can do a little player of the game segment here. As always, I'd like to hear from people in the chat. Give me your first, second, and third in honor of the Olympics. Give me your gold medalist, your silver medalist, and your bronze medalist here. But Dodgers win 7-2, start things off in the top of the second with the Will Smith home run down the line in left field. Ohtani smashes a ball in the top of the third to right field. to give the Dodgers a 2-0 lead. The Brewers get one back in the bottom of third on the Contreras home run, but it's the top of the fourth where everything busts open. A Gavin Lux 2-run home run, Kike Hernandez sac fly, and then Andy Pages, who we haven't talked about, but who quietly over his last 8 games has been very, very good for the entire month of August. He gets a 2-run home run. The Brewers add one in the 7th, but the Dodgers end up winning this one again, 7-2. I mentioned it, 13 hits for the Dodgers. All 9 starters end up with hits. Will Smith, 3 for 4. He reaches base 3 times. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman, both 2 for 5. And of course, Ohtani, Smith, Lux, and Pages with the home runs. We mentioned Stone, we mentioned Knack. So lots to choose from here, Anthony. But give me your sort of gold medal player of the game for tonight.
Just the gold medal guy?
We'll start with gold.
Gavin Stone.
Okay.
It was only 5 innings, and we know that he can go more. We've seen it before, but 5 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 6 Ks. I mean, there's something there. It feels like there's something to build on right there. He's my gold medal guy tonight.
I'm going to agree with you. I see some Will Smith nominations here in the chat, but I'm with you. I mean, what Gavin Stone was able to do, give them 5 innings, limit the damage, let this be just a stress-free game because of what the offense was able to do. I'm with you. I'm going Gavin Stone, gold medal. For me, silver medal's pretty easy. I'm going Will Smith with my silver medal. 3 hits, including the home run. You're nodding your head. But the go-ahead home run in the first inning, by the way, or second inning, excuse me. You agree with that? Would Will Smith get the silver medal for you?
I'm giving my silver medal to Landon Knack.
Okay,
I love it because his performance tonight, I think, can have implications like through the weekend.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was more than just tonight. So he gets my silver.
Okay. And then are you going Will Smith bronze, or you got a sleeper there?
Will Smith is the bronze for me.
Yeah. We've got the same 3. I was going to say Landon Knack preserving the bullpen. Excuse me. 4 innings, 64 pitches, 46 of them for strikes, season ERA down to 3. That's who I'm giving it to as well. I like what Hawaiian Kira did there, just throwing groups, offense, Knack, Stone. If you wanted to go pitching as one, I think so. But I mean, Gavin Lux goes 1 for 5 with the 2-run home run. Pages 1 for 4 with the 2-run home run. Ohtani 1 for 5 with the home run. So it's kind of funny. All the guys who hit home runs other than Smith had just 1 hit. Mookie and Freddie, a pair of hits apiece, but both of them singles. So we've got the same 3. Gavin Stone, Will Smith, and Landon Knack for me. Gavin Stone, Landon Knack, and Will Smith for you. So good stuff. And then DDV, I like this. Gavin Lux right off the podium. I agree with that. That just felt like a significant moment when he was able to hit that home run, and that ball was smashed. So kudos to Gavin Lux for that as well. Let's take a pause real quick, and I want to say thank you to our sponsor. That would be So Rare MLB. If you've been following our show, you know they've been a huge supporter of us over the last couple of months, and we appreciate them. If you have not already, please give So Rare MLB a try. You can click the link in the description to check it out. It is a totally free fantasy baseball game that includes digital player collectible cards, tons of fun. And the best part is you can just get started now. You don't have to have, oh shoot, I missed the first month of the season. It's fantasy. I'm already out. You can hop in now, draft a team, and throw them into a lineup every single week, twice a week, Monday through Thursday, Friday through Sunday. Tons and tons of fun. If you're interested, if you believe that your baseball knowledge is better than everybody else around you's, you can actually get into this game and play with some real money. You can purchase cards and then buy and sell and trade those. So if you think you've got a guy that is priced too low, you can buy and then try and sell high. I know Blake did well on a Tyler Glasnow card. He got in at the beginning of the season on Glasnow. Glasnow got out to a hot start, and then I believe he made a little bit of money on that. So you can play that as well. And if you're playing for that, you're playing for real money and more cards that you can then go trade and sell. So check out So Rare MLB. Stay tuned right here for all sorts of promos and giveaways. They've given away tickets, all-star packages, all sorts of stuff. So we appreciate So Rare MLB. All right, Anthony, let's shift gears from the game tonight. Let's talk about one more thing looking ahead to tomorrow, and then we'll get some questions. Walker Buehler, set to start for the Dodgers. This is a guy that I would say for much of the year probably fell into the same camp that Gavin Lux was in, which was, good Lord, nobody's looking forward to this, and rightfully so. And I was high on Walker Buehler, and I sold most of my stock in Walker Buehler because of how poorly he looked. He's had he made 3 rehab appearances, The first two were not good, 8 runs and 7 1/3. His last one last week, 5 1/3, 1 run, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts. He walked the first batter of the game, retired 13 straight, allowed a solo home run hooked inside of the pole, and that was it. 10 swings and misses, a fastball touching 96 plus miles an hour. That's the minor leagues. There's positive results in there. There's negative results in there.
Yeah.
If you're being honest, Anthony, what sort of expectations do you have for Walker Buehler tomorrow?
Man, what do I expect from him?
I mean, if I gave you the over under of 3.5 runs allowed by Walker Buehler tomorrow, you taking the over, the under?
If you give him 15 outs,
that means I picked a good. I picked a good line. If you're thinking about it this much,
I might take the over.
Yeah. Okay.
Look, I think that the Dodgers were, I mean, just begging for him to show something.
Yeah.
And he did it in that last minor league start, and they were like, okay, we're coming. We're come up now. Like they were just looking for something to give them hope that they could justify bringing him up, because the first 2 starts were not that. Like they could not justify it after those. And then they obviously have a need in that rotation, and so they were just hoping that he could show something, and he did. And so they're bringing him up. He says that he's feeling better than he did before. He told the beat reporters that.
He was asked, "Do you feel like yourself?" And his response was pretty close.
Yeah. Who knows? It's hard to trust it right now. I think we've seen too much bad from him this season, in both the minors and the majors. And so, look, if he can give them 5 tomorrow and he gives up 2 runs, even if he gives up 3 runs, depending on how they come or something,
total victory.
There's some promise there then. Okay. I think anything more than that, any inning count that's less than that, it's you start to wonder. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to have confidence based on what we've seen so far. Now, he's a guy, I think, with the track record where if he does show you something tomorrow, it's okay to start to believe.
Okay. One start. You would be bought back in. One good start from Walker Buehler coming off the rehab assignment, making some tweaks. You'd be optimistic.
Yeah, I would be optimistic. I wouldn't say that I'm bought fully back in and like putting him in the playoff rotation tomorrow. I'm saying now I have some hope here. They're like legitimate hope. Like I'm hoping right now that he goes 6 innings, 1 run. That's probably not a realistic hope. But if he shows something tomorrow and then that next start is like, okay, like how close to being our Walker Buehler are you now? Like, let's try this again. And there's some optimism there for sure. I think, like I said, anything beyond it or anything below sort of that benchmark, it just creates more doubt.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, looking back at his game log, this is a guy who made 8 starts prior to going on the injured list and then having to make a rehab assignment. He allowed no runs in one of those starts. He allowed 2 runs, and then basically 3 or more runs in every single start other than that. So 7 of his 8 starts had 3 or more earned runs. One had 2 earned runs, but 3 total runs allowed. But the cherry on top was his last outing. His last 3 outings were 12 innings pitched and 12 earned runs, just 7 strikeouts over that stretch, 23 base runners allowed in 12 innings. So the key, I think, is the hard part for Walker Buehler is we haven't seen him pitch the way Clayton Kershaw pitches. And I mean pitch, like in the sense of pitching. Right. Walker Buehler has always had the best stuff. And that was the part that scared me the most towards the end of his last stretch at the major league level, was we kind of knew it was going to be a guy that wasn't going to have the elite stuff. Even if the fastball's 96, 97, spin rate, all that was not going to be there. And so the question was, did he know that? The question was, did he realize that his path forward was going to have to be as a pitcher? More Greg Maddux than Nolan Ryan. That was going to be the question. And I didn't see it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, Anthony, is this a guy who's mixing it up, who's trying to hit spots rather than just rear back and throw 98 miles an hour as hard as he can. That to me is going almost more than results, and results matter. And if he gets shelled, he gets shelled, but almost more than results. I want to see a guy who's trying to pitch.
I understand that. Before the second surgery, he was kind of that, but he was just so good that he would get away with it if he was missing. But like, he was just so good. It wasn't like he was trying to pitch. Will Smith would be like, put the ball right here, and he would just put the ball right there. It was a different mentality. I know exactly what you're saying, and I think he was somewhat that way. It's why he was a Cy Young candidate. But he was just throwing the ball. The mentality for him was like, I can dominate. I'm this good. You're talking about a different mentality where like he tells himself, my stuff might not be as good. I have to get guys out in different ways.
Yeah.
That takes a while for a guy to get there. I don't think he gets there this season. I think because he didn't come into this season thinking he needed to be that dude. It's going to take, probably him being up and down for the rest of the way. Hopefully there's some ups there. Yeah. And then going into the offseason, we'll see what kind of deal he gets from somebody, maybe the Dodgers. But it's going to take him looking in the mirror and saying, like, maybe I'm not that guy anymore. How else do I get guys out? And then, then you talk about the Clayton Kershaw sort of comparison there.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's there yet. And I think that's part of the reason why we've seen him struggle so much.
Yeah. And again, I said after that Rockies game, because I'm pretty sure it was a Tuesday night. So I was doing a post-game show. It might have been with Scott. And it was depressing to read his quotes afterwards. And I actually said, like, I think the best thing that could happen for the Dodgers is exactly what you just said, where he had to look in the mirror. And, like, it wasn't, like, hypothetical that this is where he was at. Like, the numbers were telling him, hey, you just gave up 12 runs in 12 innings and 23 base runners in 12 innings. Like, this is who you are. This isn't a mirage. This isn't like a blip in the radar. And so the best thing that they can hope for is that he received that and was willing to go back to the drawing board. And I think, honestly, there was the report that he was working with somebody in Florida that was not with the team. And I was like, I think that's good. I think this is a guy that needs to try some stuff out. I'm not putting any stock into the minor league numbers, but I'm very fascinated to see what tomorrow looks like. I'm going to take the under on 3.5 runs to answer my own question from 10 minutes ago. Okay. But I think it's because, like, I wonder if he goes more than 4 innings. Like, I'm almost expecting like 4 innings, 3 earned runs from Buehler. And if Dave Roberts can kind of take him out in a place where maybe it's a little bit of a confidence booster.
He's in a good place mentally. Yeah.
Hey, that, there's a little bit of confidence there before this goes sideways. Let's pull him out. I could see that happening, especially with the bullpen having gotten a day off today. Now you've got 7 games in 7 days, so you don't exactly want to just burn your bullpen tomorrow, but I'm going to predict 4 innings, 3 earned runs for Walker Buehler.
Yeah, he should be built up. I am curious to see what they do with him if he pitches pretty well. Like, let's say he gets out of the 5th and he's got 5 innings, 2 runs allowed. Yeah. I'm curious to see what Dave does there.
Yeah. If you were Dave, what would you do? Do you pull him and say, like, if he hey, maybe he gave up a single or walked a guy in the 5th and then comes out, but he's only allowed like 4 base runners, 2 earned runs. Are you saying, hey, signs of trouble? Pretty
low stress.
Yeah.
Outing to that point for the most part. I let him go out for the 6th.
Okay.
I think I fully understand where you're coming from with the, like, maybe they get him out of there with good vibes, right?
Yeah.
But I also think like this guy's a veteran at this point.
Yeah, he can handle it.
Let's see what he does with this. Like, I could see them doing that. And this, I think this could end up being one of the most important starts from any Dodger rotation piece this season, because I think it really does start to shape what this rotation could look like and the optimism that it carries with it, because Yamamoto is going to come back soon, we think. Glass now starting to look better.
Yeah.
Clarity's there. Like,
Kershaw,
if Buehler can give them something to lean on, like the lineup now, this really starts to look like a dangerous rotation if it's right.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
He's kind of one of those linchpin guys.
Yeah. I agree. I agree completely. And I think it's just if you could get to 5 or even 6 guys that if they were put in that game 4 NLDS or whatever situation that you wouldn't totally hate, I think that would make us all feel better.
Yeah.
I think Kershaw is not there yet, but he's trending in that direction. If they could get a couple more guys, whether it's Gavin Stone bouncing back like he did tonight, whether it's Justin Robleski, who might be starting on Friday, or Landon Knack, who probably will get more opportunities, or Walker Buehler, whoever, if it could even just be a few guys in the conversation that we're debating, hey, which of these guys do you kind of like the most? That could be a huge win for the Dodgers.
If he pitches well tomorrow and the Dodgers win, this ends up being like the good vibe series of the season.
Hey, I'm on postgame tomorrow. Let's go, baby. Good vibes all the way around.
Mookie, Ohtani homering, Will Smith, Gavin Lux, Landon Knack and Gavin Stone, Walker Buehler, pretended Kershaw. Like, I mean,
don't get me excited, Anthony. Don't get me excited. Don't get my hopes up. All right, folks, let's get to some questions here. If you've got a question, throw it in the chat, all caps question. I did see one that we had posted a little while ago from Paul that I think is a good one that's been kicked around a lot. He said, question for Jeff and Anthony, who do they DFA when Muncy and Tommy Edman get activated? So, of course, the news was that Ahmed Rosario got DFA'd in order to make room for Mookie Betts. Max Muncy and Tommy Edman will both need to be added to both the 40-man roster because they're currently on the 60-day IL, and then also the 26-man roster. Both of these guys expected back at the beginning of next week on the homestand is what's been told to us. Anthony, I see it as these two guys. Well, let me back up. Andy Pages is the only offensive player on the Dodgers roster who can be optioned to the minor leagues and not removed from the organization.
Yeah.
I still believe that's going to be a likely plan of action. I think just for the sheer purposes of not losing a body you don't need to lose, I think Pages is going to be the guy.
Go ahead.
So they also, by DFAing Rosario, they've opened up a spot on the 40-man roster, which I believe is at 39. So when they do make this move, they will have to remove one guy from the 40-man roster in order to do this. I think Nick Ahmed, Kevin Kiermaier, and Jason Hayward, to me, are the three candidates. I suppose you could throw Kike Hernandez in there, although the way they've talked about him and played him, I don't think he's in the same bucket as those three. So maybe you have a different name, but if it's Kiermaier, Ahmed, and Hayward, one of those three guys has to be DFA'd when these two come back. Who do you think's most likely?
I think I'm with you on the Pages move. I think it's Ahmed.
Yeah.
I think it's Ahmed because I think that they value Kiermaier's defense, and he's a guy who can get a bunt down, like as opposed to like everyone else. And, so you can at least count on him for that if he's in the lineup. And then I think, the other part of that is one of the guys coming back can play shortstop. And so where does Ahmed, fit into that situation there? I think logically, I think those two moves make the most sense.
I think I'm with you. I mean, Dave Roberts, there was a funny quote we talked about. I think it was last Wednesday with Matt, and there was a quote about, hey, what happens when these guys come back? Where does Nick Ahmed fit in? And he's like, we got a lot of tough decisions ahead of us. Like, it was the opposite of a vote of confidence. But I do agree with you. Edman obviously can play center field and he can play shortstop. The difference is if Kiermaier were to be DFA'd, that's who I would DFA personally. Sure. But he's the only other guy they have that can competently play center field, not named Mookie Betts. At least with Ahmed, you've got other dudes that could play shortstop. Obviously, Miguel Rojas will be probably the prominent, most close to an everyday guy there. But Kike Hernandez could play shortstop in a pinch. Tommy Edman could play shortstop in a pinch. Heck, Mookie Betts could play shortstop in a pinch. So I'm with you. Ahmed has been good defensively. He also is like a much better hitter than Kevin Kiermaier, which is hard for me. And so that would be the tricky part. Let me ask you this. Andy Pages, I mentioned, has been good throughout the month of August. Is there any chance they just keep Pages up and just DFA Kiermaier and Nick Ahmed? Or do you think Pages being optioned is like the easiest decision of the whole group?
I think that it's the easiest decision, but if he's hitting when that time comes around, when that date comes, and if he's hitting, I think they're gonna keep him. And then I think that puts Kiermaier on the block.
Okay. Good note from our guy Scott, who's in the chat. We appreciate it. He said Nick Ahmed just hit his 10 years of service time. So he's gone. They did him a favor. So he does have that. I mean, I'm going to trust Scott on that one. That number's right. Scott's good with this kind of thing. So could be something like that as well. But keep in mind, a few weeks later, a couple weeks later, we don't know. Chris Taylor might be coming back at some point, and then we're having this conversation all over again.
These things work themselves out very naturally.
Sometimes Ahmed Rosario would say that these things do not always work themselves out, because that's basically the Dodgers when they traded for him. That was their line of thinking. It's like, surely somebody will be hurt by then. And then nobody was hurt by then. And so Rosario ended up the odd man out. Let's get to some more questions here. Clayton asks, do we have a bona fide designated closer, or are we doing this crazy closer by committee nonsense? It sure seems like Daniel Hudson's the closer to me, Anthony.
Yeah, feels like it, right? I mean, that's the smart money right there right now.
Yeah.
We'll see. I do think that they are still looking at it at a game to game basis. And if the matchups at all are fine for Hudson, then they go with him. They're starting to get more confidence with Evan Phillips, I think. And so they don't necessarily need a relief ace. Like if they want to call Hudson their relief ace, they don't necessarily need him to come in like a high leverage spot in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
Right. And so they can deploy Phillips there if they need, and keep Hudson for the 9th. So I think that I don't think they're ever going to say it to anybody. They're not going to say it to the reporters, but Hudson is the guy right now.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I'm just looking at the way they've been used. He's basically been placed into every single save situation for the last few weeks. So, we'll see. We got a super chat here from Hawaiian Kira. Gold goes to Dodger Blue. You all have been awesome since 2020. Thanks for always keeping us off the ledge. We appreciate you, Hawaiian Kira. It's been a privilege, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to have somebody like Anthony joining the team this year as well. Scott and Blake over the last couple of years joining OGs, me and Daniel and Matt chiming in way back in 2020 in my old living room with like 6 people watching on YouTube. So it's been a lot of fun. We appreciate you all, but thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the super chat, Hawaiian Kira. Some more questions here. TQT knows exactly how to get the question put up there. Just ask me to rank something and I'm immediately in, Anthony. So rank the relievers when everyone is healthy. Give me a trust tier for the most untrustworthy position. So health, people are healthy. Guys expected to come back.
Okay.
Give me the highest tier of guys that you trust. I'll throw some names at you. And you can just to give people time to think. I think the people that I would consider to be in contention for this would be Evan Phillips, would be Daniel Hudson, would be Blake Trinan potentially, Michael Kopech, Alex Vesia if you want to get crazy, Anthony Banda if you want to get even crazier. Those would be the 5 guys that I'm thinking, unless I'm missing somebody obvious. I think it's those 5 would be kind of potentially in the group there. So Phillips, Hudson, Trinan, Vesia, Banda, I think would be the 5 maybe. Yeah. So which of those is in their own tier of trustworthiness?
Only one guy?
I would say, like, if we're not doing just tiers, like I trust these guys deeply. It could be one guy. It could be 5 guys.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go 3 guys.
Okay.
So my top tier would be Hudson.
Okay.
Vesia.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I'm here for this, Anthony.
Yeah. Vesia. And I know the numbers aren't where we want them to be, but I think at this point, Phillips.
Wow. So no Kopech. You're out on Kopech. I mean, not out. I shouldn't say out. I shouldn't say out. That was a total mischaracterization. Yeah. He's just not earned his way into that top tier yet.
For sure. And that could, this could change in 2 weeks for sure. But I think right now, those are the guys I'm giving the ball to in my highest leverages.
I like it. Look, Vesia, I know was surprising to me. When you said 3, I was like, oh man, Trinan or Kopech, who's he going to leave off? And you leave both those guys. To your credit, Vesia has a freaking 1.79 ERA on the season. Yeah. That's across 51 games. So we're talking about a guy with, an extended stretch. And I see people say, I don't trust Vesia. I think that's a good
his ERA plus is 224.
Yeah, it's crazy. His stuff is crazy. He has 68 strikeouts in 50 innings. Like, he's been very, very good. And by the way, I would say, like, he actually has a track record of just beyond this season of being really good as well. So anyways, I don't hate
big outs too, like in the past, like in, not just now. He's gotten big outs in the past too. I also like the idea of being able to really trust the lefty.
Okay, you talked me into it. I'm going to get crazy here. I genuinely Like when Blake Treinen is healthy, I love Blake Treinen. When Michael Kopech, what he has done over the last like week and a half since coming to the Dodgers
really
has been insane.
Yeah.
I'm in on Hudson. I'm in on Phillips. You talked me into Vesia. So I've got 5 guys that I think potentially, and this is why I've been in on the Dodgers bullpen all year, despite the struggles, because I think there's a world.
They've been taxed. Those are the struggles. They've just been taxed. That's why.
Totally. And so I think there's a world where there's 5 dudes at the back of the bullpen that I really like, really like. Where I'm talking about Vesia, who many people would have 5th on that list of 5 guys I just mentioned, or 4th, and he has a sub 1.8 ERA basically on the season. So that's my 5. So give me your next tier. Like, is it Kopech and Treinen in their own tier? Does Banda sneak in there? Is there anybody else that we're not talking about that maybe is in that group?
Yeah, I'll go. So I'll keep it to 3s just to make it a little tougher on myself. Everybody healthy.
Yeah.
I'll go Kopech, Treinen.
You're going to do it. Bruzdar?
Bazooka.
Yeah, you are.
Bazooka.
Okay. He's the hardest one. He's the hardest one because, like, when we're assuming health, we have no idea really what's happening with him. Right. And he only pitched 8 pitches that we've seen all season. So, look, but again, track record. I hear you. I really like Banda. Like, I think Banda's really good.
I do too. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan of Banda. He's got a good first name. I like him. I like Banda music.
He's got a good last name. He's got a good first name.
I like
and
Banda music. He's got all the right stuff for LA, right? I got to see it in those leverages, and I know he's done it some in the regular season. Like I'll give him full credit for that, but I've seen some of these other guys do it in October.
Yeah. And that's my thing. That's why Gratterall would still be a tick below a guy like Banda to me, just because like we're doing it's so much projection. He's only appeared in 1 game this season. And so, so he would be a tick below. And I mean, and then beyond that, you get to like Ryan Brazier, you get to Honeywell, you get to Grove, who I think, I would probably put, I mean, I don't know how I feel about Honeywell. I think Grove and Brazier I would put in a category together. I don't know if Honeywell is quite there. I don't know if Honeywell, I'm not positive is a guy that makes it to October, but I think that's kind of the next tier down. And we're not including, what if Robleski's a reliever? What if Bobby Miller's a reliever? That kind of thing.
Yeah, not counting any starters, which could absolutely happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Good stuff there. Let's get to some more questions here. Scott wants to know, can Jason Hayward play center field? I would say, better or worse than Andy Pages in center field? It's got to be better, right?
Better. But
yeah,
I
think
the
bar, that's not even a bar. That's like the bar fell off of the stand and it's laying on the floor. It actually rolled into a ditch. So it's down.
The bar there is like, Jason Hayward, are you able to walk from the dugout to the center field position? You win.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that is. I do think though that if they felt any certain way about Hayward playing center field, they would have tried that already.
100%, because the Pages thing ain't working.
No.
Roy, good question here. He said the 1 through 6 is set. Is Dave smart enough to leave that alone and put Muncy and Edmonds in the 7 through 9 to strengthen the bottom of the lineup? So I'm imagining he's talking about Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar, Gavin Lux, Will Smith, 1 through 6.
Yeah.
If you were in charge, then you could put Muncy 7th, and that kind of maintains your little lefty righty thing. And then it's either Tommy Edman and Miguel Rojas, presumably, in the 8-9 hole. Like, is that what you would do? Or do you think Muncy creeps back up and Gavin Lux maybe drops back down?
I'm not moving Gavin Lux right now.
Okay.
I'm
so
not.
So Gavin Lux is staying at 5 and Muncy would drop down to 7.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that really gives you length. It really gives you length. Like, I also do not want to mess with what Gavin's doing right now. Like, and I think mentally, like, you talk to Max and you go, hey, here's our situation currently. You're coming back. We don't want to really mess with this. We got Gavin going. We're going to put you 7th. Be all good with that. And I think he'll be fine. What that does, though, is it sends a signal to Gavin Lux's brain, and it tells him, hey, man, we're all in on you. Yeah. We think you're a major part of this order. We're not even going to mess with you, even though one of our all-star power hitters is back in the lineup. Yeah. And I think for him, that's a huge vote of confidence. And I think it just keeps him going down this path because like we've talked about this on several shows during this season. It's not that Gavin Lux is fragile or weak mentally. I don't think any of us have ever thought that necessarily. It's just that
I think people have definitely thought it. I don't think anybody said it out loud, but
they could. But I'll tell you what, if he was weak or fragile in that way, he never would have gotten back to this side of the coin.
I agree.
Like he was going through it. And for him to come through and he's out on this side, and I know it's a little bit of a smaller sample size, but for him to even be here at all, that's telling me something about the guy he is. He came back from, shredding his knee to pieces. So I'm okay with him there. But what I do think is like I said, I think it just gives him a vote of confidence, and he goes to bed at night going, man, this organization believes I can do it.
Yeah. And I think even just from a lineup construction, I think the profile that Gavin Lux offers you kind of could make a lot of sense in that number 5 spot where, it doesn't necessarily need to be a power bat, but it's a guy that's going to put the ball in play with presumably guys on base in front of him who might be able to get on base for the 2 guys, hitting right behind him. So I could see like just him fitting nicely and then having Will Smith and Max Muncy right behind Gavin Lux, who's maybe getting on base, who's not chasing, who's drawing some walks. Like I could just see that profile fitting there. We did have a question here from Scott. Has Gavin Lux earned at-bats against lefties? This is the thing to me, and I just gave my whole speech on Gavin Lux. He's been awful against left-handed pitching. Awful. So in my opinion, I thought Rosario was on this team to be the platoon mate for Gavin Lux against lefties. I actually don't think the answer to this question is yes. I think Kike Hernandez is going to play second base against lefties. That's my prediction.
I could see that. Yeah. The answer for me is also no, not yet. Let me ask you this. Could we see a situation where Mookie goes right field, second base in those instances?
So Mookie comes in against lefties. Yeah, the problem is and then you put Jason Hayward in.
You gotta put Jason Hayward in the lineup, right?
See, because I would be looking for ways to get Pages into the lineup, but Pages hits against righties, not against lefties. That's why I had Rosario as the perfect platoon guy in right field and second base playing every day. But
I'm just thinking out loud, so I may be missing something or skipping steps. But what if Teo goes to right on those days and Kike plays left?
Yeah, I mean, and that to me, that would just be like, would you rather Kike Hernandez playing left field or second base and Mookie Betts, because basically our lineups are the exact same in that situation. It's just a matter of like,
it's just a position thing,
positionally differences. Gavin Lux, by the way, is hitting 208 against left-handed pitchers this season with 10 extra base hits in 240 plate at bats. So 270 plate appearances, 10 extra base hits, 71 strikeouts. So that's why I'm out on Gavin Lux against lefties. But I think it's
same. Same. I don't think he's earned it quite yet.
Yeah. Oh, somebody was asking what's he hitting. I don't know what he's hitting against lefties in the second half. So I saw that question. Apologies. But let's get to maybe one or two more. Derek wants to know if Stone and Kershaw both pitch well for the rest of the season, who's the fourth starter in the playoffs? It's got to be Kersh, right?
Well,
if Yamamoto,
Glasnow, Flaherty, Yamamoto.
Yeah, and he's saying, and Stone and Kershaw are both pitching well.
Yeah, okay. Kershaw.
It's got to be Kershaw, right?
Kershaw, yeah.
I know I'm going to say experience, and people are going to say it's not good experience. If you're asking us to predict what's going to happen, it's definitely Kershaw. That would be my pick as well. You would pick Kershaw. Yeah. Let's not get ahead of ourselves with a rookie plugging it, even if he's good the rest of the way, throwing him into that situation.
And also let's the narrative is the narrative for some reason, but let's not act like he's been complete hot garbage every time he's taken the ball in October. Like he's had some outstanding starts. Yeah, absolutely. Looking at the scoreboard, I saw somebody say it was 3-3 in the Diamondbacks game, which if that's true, then my scoreboard's a little behind, but I've got the Diamondbacks losing 3-2 to the Rockies. And I've got the Padres winning 2-0 over the Pirates. So apologies if those numbers are delayed, but that's what MLB.com is giving me. So some scores to watch. Diamondbacks might be losing. Padres currently winning those games in the top of the ninth and the bottom of the eighth. So we shall see on that front. All right. I think that'll do it. You got any good food topics, good food question to close us out here, Anthony? I didn't come with any mac and cheese pasta questions for you. Ugh. I don't know. You know what? I didn't even think about anything.
Yeah.
That's shame on me. Shame on me.
Shame on me. That's my job. I'm the host. This one's on me. So I apologize to everybody.
I'm on a brutal Monday through Friday right here. I'm on a brutal chicken breast and broccoli diet.
Okay. Good for you. Just plain chicken breast?
No, like, I mean, I'll season them and stuff like that. Yeah.
But you're just like, that's what you're going with.
Yeah. I'm a little cleanse, a little weight loss week here for me. So,
hey, here's a good question. So I got invited to like a pub basically for lunch with some friends. We sit down. I'm there early. So I'm scouring the menu. And it's like 11:45. And this is a serves breakfast until noon type of a place.
okay.
And then on the other side, they've got sandwiches, they've got burgers. Again, it's more of like a bar type of a place. And so I'm looking, and it's like a local spot. So you know that like all the food's going to be good. Like it's not like a crappy place that's microwaving and stuff on the back. It's like good food. So my question to you is 11:45, you're with friends. Are you looking at the breakfast menu at all? Or are you just going straight sandwiches, burgers, salads, wraps, etc.?
Am I in the mood for breakfast? Like, did I go there hoping I could?
Always. No, you weren't going. Like, I did not show. I thought I walked in thinking sandwiches and burgers. That's what I'm signing up for. I'd been to this place for happy hour, had never had breakfast, had never ordered off the regular menu before. But I was just thinking this is like a burger, sandwiches, wings type of a place.
Got it.
They've got a half size breakfast menu there: eggs, French toast, pancakes, omelets, the whole deal.
Yeah, man, I'm going breakfast.
I love it.
I'm going breakfast.
So I was ordering second. I made sure the first person, I should say first, I ordered third. First person ordered a cup of soup. Somebody's grandma was there. She ordered soup. The dad, who I knew was going to be paying for this meal, and then my buddy and me. And I'm looking at him to see what he does. If he goes burger, I'm going burger or sandwich. I had the Reuben all picked out. Reuben was going to be great. And he goes, I'll take the chicken fried steak, please. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. He's going breakfast, baby. Give me that omelet. Give me those hash browns. Give me that toast. I love breakfast. I'm all in on breakfast at all times. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, I have seen a bunch of, just as I kind of glance and scan the comments, I have seen some people talking about ramen.
Yeah.
Tweet me if you would be so kind, people. Tweet me your best ramen spots in LA. I'm looking for.
Are you a ramen guy?
For good ramen.
Do you like ramen?
I do. Yeah.
I know nothing about it. I have a friend that's into it. He's taken me to a couple places. Fantastic. Good ramen. Fantastic. I'm not a big pho guy. Have been to places that reportedly have good pho. Not my thing. I'm a ramen over pho guy personally.
I'm ramen over pho also, but I like pho.
Yeah. It's fair. Rod wants to know French toast or pancakes. Easiest question I've been asked all night, Anthony. I'm curious if we agree here.
French toast.
All day French toast. Pancakes below waffles.
Pancakes always do there's like a siren song that pancakes have, and I always got to like pull away and be like, no, French toast is better.
Yeah. See, I've got pancakes below waffles on my little 3-part ranking. You give me good waffles. Pancakes are also hit or miss. Like you could get really crappy pancakes. I feel like the lowest level of waffle and the lowest level of French toast is still like pretty good. The lowest level of pancake is terrible. So that's what I got. There you go. Somebody said the Diamondbacks just tripled with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th. Rockies winning 3-2. So Corbin Carroll tripled with 1 out in the 9th in that game. So there you go. Let's hope that the good luck runs out. The Padres not getting a home run the other night. That's got to be good juju in our moment on our direction, you would think. But anyways, hey everybody, we appreciate you all as always for joining us here. If you have not already, please subscribe, ring the notification bell. I will be back with Matt, I believe, tomorrow night doing a live post-game show. Anthony and I will be back on Friday night doing another live post-game show. Blake and Scott on Thursdays and Sundays. So all sorts of content coming at you. We greatly appreciate you. Check out DodgerBlue.com for all the latest Dodger Blue 1958 on social media. And of course, check out So Rare MLB in the link below. Enjoy the rest of your night, everybody. Dodgers win. So as always, go Dodgers.